The year is 1914. Eastern Europe has just emerged from the Second Balkan War. The southern Slavs, native to the region, call for unification. Among them stands Gavrilo Princip. On the afternoon of June 28th, his actions will change the course of history.
The ideas of a unified Southern Slav government date back to the Balkan authors in the 16th century Protestant movements. One of the notable figures behind this trend was a Slovenian author by the name of Primož Trubar, a big supporter of Yugoslavism. He was known for choosing as subordinates from many of the surrounding countries, contributing to his cause. As the region developed, so did the idea of one country for one ethnicity, supporting the rights of the Slavs. The ideology was concentrated in Serbia, influencing the surrounding regions. However, it struggled for some time under the Ottoman Empire. In the mid 1800s, the Ottomans slowly began to lose control in the region, letting nations like Serbia and Bosnia revolt. In 1908, Austria made a move that outraged the Serbian public by annexing Bosnia. To combat this, secret military organizations were formed in Serbia, at the head of which was the Black Hand. To study how this group rose to power, we need to travel back 11 years before the assassination, long before the Black Hand was even founded.
1903 was a turning point in the history of Serbia. Under the administration of the unpopular Alexander Obrenović, it was a time of political unrest. This resulted in the May coup, when he and his wife were brutally murdered in their palace by a group of army officers. Among them was Dragutin Dmitrievich. With the blood of Obrenović's death came Dmitrievic's rise to power. Colonel Dragutin Dmitrievich, also known by his codename Apis, was renowned as a revolutionary in the Serbian military. After the coup, he put himself in a position to gain power. That was when he had discovered an up-and-coming secret military organization known as the Black Hand. As time passed, he became more and more associated with them. Eventually, he found himself at its head and used it in his fight for South Slav rights. Organized by a group of officers in May of 1911, the organization Ujedinjenje ili Smrti, or Unification or Death, was better known as the Black Hand. Their goal was the complete and utter removal of hindrances to the unification of what they called Greater Serbia. This organization was not just founded to conquer, but to assure the rights concerning the South Slavic people. Upon entrance, members of the organization swore an oath of allegiance and vowed secrecy. Small cells operated under the command of regional councils. These councils adhered to the orders of the Central Committee in Belgrade, headed by Dmitrievich himself. By 1914, the Black Hand had more than 2,500 members. It had such power that even the Prime Minister Nikola Pasic feared them. This was more than proven in their conflicts with the government over territories won in the Balkan Wars. They were now in a position to bring their fight to a global stage.
The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is seen as the climax of the Black Hand story. To this day, it is unknown why Dmitrievich gave the order. Whether it was political maneuvering in Serbia or open battle against Austria, one thing is for certain: Apis's actions were for his battle against South Slav oppression. For the assassination, Dmitrievich's advisor, Vojislav Tenkosic, enlisted Gavrilo Princip, Nedjeljko Kabrinović, Trifko Grabez, and Muhammad Mehmed Basic to carry out the mission. Most of the would-be assassins were teenagers from a revolutionary group called Young Bosnia. On the ill-fated day of June 28th, the group were positioned on the Upper Quay in Sarajevo. A crowd had gathered to watch Ferdinand's automobile roll down the streets. It was Kabrinovich who threw the grenade. Missing the Archduke, it hit a car behind, causing a short scene of chaos. Ferdinand's entourage had been attacked. Realizing he had failed, Kabrinovich dove into the shallow Milyaka River and took an expired cyanide pill. When his suicide attempt failed, he was arrested by nearby officers. At this point, the assassins had lost hope in a successful assassination. That was all but Gavrilo Princip. He chose to move to Franz Joseph Street, hoping he could catch the Archduke upon departure. After finishing his business in the city, Ferdinand decided he wanted to visit those injured in the first attack. However, the driver was not informed and drove right into Princip's alley. He stopped to reverse, giving Gavrilo the chance he needed. Princip emerged from the lined-up crowd and came forth to the pavement, pulled out his pistol concealed by a newspaper, and fired 2 shots. Ferdinand was hit in the throat, and the second bullet hit Sophie, his wife, in her groin after piercing through the door. As the car accelerated backwards, Ferdinand started bleeding out of the throat while Sophie fell between her knees. By the time they reached the governor's residence, the deaths of the imperial heir and the duchess were established. The period after the assassination could only be described as an outrage. Anti-Serb riots filled the streets of Sarajevo. Houses were lit up and possessions were smashed. Austria blamed the Serbian government for the assassination. After a month of negotiations with Germany, Vienna presented Serbia with an ultimatum. Their terms put Serbia's autonomy into question, causing Prime Minister Pasic to refuse. Many say that the unacceptable terms were given on purpose. Nevertheless, Vienna declared war on Serbia, sparking a chain of reactions that ultimately caused the First World War. As the war progressed, the Black Hand slowly began to lose their power. Coupled with Dimitrovich's open criticisms of the Crown Prince Alexander Karageorgievich, led to the Salonika trial, a move by Pasic and Karageorgievich to permanently get rid of the Black Hand. Dimitrivich and the other members were arrested on false charges of planning to assassinate Alexander. It was quickly followed by Dimitrivich and 2 other officers' executions. The Black Hand completely collapsed following the trial, with Pasic carrying out mass arrests of members. However, their legacy and their battle for rights still live on.
After Dmitrievich's execution, the organization was thrown into turmoil. The White Hand, a separatist group of the organization, took the opportunity to take the throne that the Black Hand had sat on for so long. With Pasic's support, Alexander eventually ascended to the throne and stayed as the king of Serbia for years to come. As a cause of Dmitrievich's order, millions would die in the ensuing conflict. This would bring about a cycle of violence that devastated the world. The Black Hand, although through twisted methods, fought for an honorable cause. However, their battle was responsible for the world's sorrows. The Black Hand may have died out as quickly as it appeared, but the organization's efforts were not in vain. On December 1st, 1918, Dmitrievich's dream was realized when the nations of Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia, and Montenegro were all unified under the leadership of King Alexander Karageorgievich. One kingdom for the South Slavic people, Yugoslavia.